And now it's time for Windy City Sports Talk. And your host, Ryan Young.
Hello, Chicago! Welcome to this live Monday edition of Windy City Sports Talk. I am Ryan Young. For the next half hour, we're going to recap and preview everything in the world of sports. Can't say Chicago sports because it's not about Chicago anymore. At least, all of it, at least. We're going to, and of course, if you want to follow me on Twitter, at ringside_rep. Appreciate that. We got a lot of stuff to get to, and a lot of stats to talk about. We'll start it off, of course, we got a guest. Scott Beatty's going to be joining us, talking MLB playoffs in about 15 minutes. So looking forward to that. I mean, well, maybe you guys are. But let's start this off by recapping what took place at Soldier Field yesterday between the Bears and those Detroit Lions. My prediction was that the Bears were going to win. I predicted that a long time ago. Going in, did I feel confident about that pick? Absolutely not. Matt Stafford came out. Well, the Bears came out, played very well early. You saw Brian Hoyer able to do a tremendous job for the Bears. You saw the running game do well with Howard. Let's run through the stats. In a long story short, Bears win. They win that one of a final of 17-14, and they finally get their first win of the 2016-17 season. A win over a Detroit Lions team that obviously is not having a good year after losing Megatron, and then and pretty much not being a good team to begin with. And was hoping to depend on Marvin Jones, but unfortunately that wasn't the case, as I had Marvin Jones, and he only had 5 receptions for 74 yards. Let's talk about the stats here. Stafford went 23 for 36, 213 passing. Theo Riddick went 11 for 31. Stafford went 2 of 17. So there, and Ebron, there was also a couple of missed plays by Detroit as well in this game. 4 of 42 for Ebron. And for Hoyer, 28 of 36, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, which I think the Bears will take. The fans will take it as well, because, you know, it's been an abysmal stretch for this team when it comes to interceptions. Howard, which now it might be the point of, is the backup better than the starter? Being Howard, 23 for 111. He averaged 4.8 yards a carry. Bell went 3 carries of 6 yards. Eddie Royal, 7 receptions, 111 yards, especially that one long one. And Kevin White, 6 of 55. He was injured on a play, but it looks like he was okay and he is good to go for the next, I believe so. I haven't heard anything since then, but Bears get a nice W, and I think does that now both starters that were originally going to come into this now possibly from the running back position and from the quarterback position. Is Brian Hoyer your guy? This team isn't expected to go to the playoffs, but at least to make a run. Is this your quarterback as of right now? I know he did it with Houston last year, but that's still something you got to put on this back burner for a second. Because, I mean, this team does have a chance, without blowing it, to get to 500. Next week, you face an Indianapolis team who lost yesterday in London, declined to do the bye week after, because usually they do the bye week after that, denies to do the bye week, wanted it later in the season. So now they're going to be tired at home and hosting the Bears, and then they got Jacksonville. So if the Bears can't come out of this with 2 wins and back at 500, I don't think there's any possible chance of this team even possibly. I mean, you're not going to talk playoffs, but at least get back to 500 and try to restart. And I believe maybe the game after that, I got my schedule. The game after that might be against, like I said, you got at Colts, against the Jaguars. I have them losing to the Colts, but you never know. And that could be possibly one of my makeup games, because I finally got one right. Or this is my second. I'm 1-1, and I'm 2-2. I've got 2 right now. I've beat the Lions. I got them losing to the Colts, but I got them beating the Jaguars. Then imagine this team being 500 at Lambeau Field on Thursday Night Football. They haven't been good on national television this season, so why not give them the opportunity to do something there and to play good, and hopefully that'll be the case. Because like I said, it was not pretty for Andrew Luck yesterday. Luck was the last word that came to mind when you looked at that game. And then, like I said, Jacksonville's a struggling team. Blake Bortles is not a bad quarterback. He did pretty well yesterday. So I think the Bears have a chance to go 3-3 and then see what they can do after that. I mean, I know that game, but last time they went to Green Bay, they were pretty much eliminated on Thanksgiving and went in there and beat them. So never say never, and it always seems like the Bears come out and get ready to play the Packers, which obviously is the case. So the Bears win 17-14. My prediction was right, but I believe 7-9 would be the total. 7-9 would still be the total. They got to get a couple of the losses I predicted right. So we'll see if that can start this week against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. We'll be previewing that on Friday. Friday will be a very exciting show as we finally get into the playoffs race. First, before we get into the playoffs, we have to recap the regular season, of course, with all that coming out of it. First for the Cubs, 3 games in Cincinnati. Game 1 of the series on Friday. It was a win by the Cubs, 7-3. Buchanan got the win at 1-0. Smith got the loss at 3-3. Saturday night, the Reds got the W. They win at 7-4 over John Lester. Edelman got the win. Lester unable to get his 20th win of the season. He finishes it off at 19-5, which I think at the beginning of the year you hear that after not the best year last year. I think you are content with that. And then you have Iglesias with the save on Saturday. Then yesterday, it looked like the Cubs were going to lose again. They weren't playing well. Then all of a sudden, the 9th inning comes around. They take all their starters out, and they score 4 runs. They win at 7-4 on the back of a Montero home run. Grimm gets the win at 2-1. Iglesias with the loss at 3-2. Edwards gets his second save. Now, I don't know about you guys, and I'll ask the 2-time Emmy Award winner when he comes on in 8 or 7 minutes or 8 minutes, that what does that worry you? How John Lester and how Lester and Hendricks pitched in these final 2 games. Them are your first 2 guys most likely going into the playoffs against either the Mets or the Giants. Now that we got that sorted out, we'll talk about that in a second. But now with that, where does it now? I'm that worried Cub fan, and I posted a poll question earlier. I said, are you ready for the playoffs, Cub fans, or are you nervous? I'm always one of them nervous fans, and I'm going to be nervous because, I mean, my nerve, even if they would have both pitched no-hitters, I still would have been worried. Let's just get that out there front. But the way they pitched, Lester, I mean, it's the Cincinnati Reds. Yes, these games had 0 meaning. And, of course, them 2 kind of contending for the Cy Young Award. They pitched very well, obviously, 19-5 is a great record. And like I said, you say that at the beginning of the year, book it. Let's do it. And he did a tremendous job this season. And obviously, just over a 2 ERA is Kyle Hendricks, who did not get the loss in that game. I believe he would have if that game would have ended, or if they would have lost, because they were losing 4-3 in the 9th. And then he came back and took the lead. So, big win for the Cubs. And now that sets them up for the playoffs. And, of course, everything else that took place on yesterday. Vin Scully's final game announced for the Dodgers. Dick Enberg, final game for the Padres, so some legends leave the broadcast booth. But then when you look at the playoff situation, the Giants sweep the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers had 0 interest in that series. They were focused on the Nationals, and they're ready for the playoffs. So and that hurt the Cardinals, because the Cardinals also, they won, I believe, 2 out of 3 over Pittsburgh, but that wasn't enough, and they finished 1 game out and they lose. So that is it for them. And the Mets clinched on Saturday home field advantage, so that game for the wild card game. So Wednesday's game is set. It is going to be a fun one to watch. I recommend any baseball fan, especially obviously Cub fans, going to be tuning in very much. And it'll be fun to watch a wild card game that you're not involved in. Yet that was the funnest day. If I had to pick one day out of recent sports history that was the most fun for me, it was that night. A game that everything was on the line, win or lose, and not being in the playoffs, everything was new. Now you know what your team's expectations are. You don't want to be done in that situation. You don't want to be down to that. So I think it'll be fun to watch that one. Madison Bumgarner against Noah Syndergaard, which means whatever team the Cubs do face starting Friday, they won't have to deal with that man, Syndergaard or Bumgarner, till a week from today in their respective home against Jake Arrieta. So the Cubs got to make sure they do business at home. They're one of the best home teams in baseball. We will get down into crunch those numbers once we find out who that team is. There is no game 163. Unfortunately, the Tigers lost 2 of 3 to the Braves. That hurt. And I think and when it comes down to one game in a season, I'm sure teams can think back and be like, there's that one game we could have won and that could have got us there. there's no reason the Tigers should not beat the Braves. I know the Braves are finishing off Turner Field. They open up SunTrust Field or SunTrust Park next year in Atlanta, April 14th. But, I mean, that could have been some momentum going in there for them, and they were able to do a tremendous job by them. And, of course, Boston beat Toronto, or Toronto beat Boston yesterday in Big Papi's final regular season game. Now we'll see if he can be as clutch as he has been in the postseason. And I think it's going to be fun, but I think that's bad. But I think the Tigers had an opportunity to get in there, and they can't. Now Toronto hosts Baltimore tomorrow. As of doing this live, there has not been a pitching matchup announced yet. I don't know what you go with there. Baltimore, they're. I want it to be Toronto. I want to see Texas-Toronto rematch. Texas clinch home field through the World Series if they can make it that far. But them against the Cubs would be a fun matchup as well. But I'm not putting the Cubs there yet. But I think I want to see Texas and Toronto in the playoffs. I want to see that Thursday. I think that'd be a fun series. They hate each other. You'll get to see the Batista punch to the face a bunch of times from Rougned Odor. You got a lot of fun stuff that could be happening. And I'm looking forward to it as the playoffs begin officially tomorrow with the one-game playoff, Baltimore at Toronto. And then on Wednesday, you got Giants at Mets. And the winner of that will face the Cubs on Friday at Wrigley. And the times just came up before we went live, about an hour, maybe half hour before. And not too happy with those. The times, because I'm like, I don't know if I've said it on here. I am going to Saturday's game, my first rooftop and playoff game. So I'm excited. I'm fun. It's going to be fun. Wasn't excited to go to a night game. I thought it would be a day game with only 2 games being played. Not the case. So that's that with the and of course we'll break down all the playoffs coming up probably tomorrow. I want to do tomorrow's show live, but there's no reason to wait. There's nothing tonight to talk about, but maybe I'll still do live tomorrow and see where the wind blows from that point. Now, of course, for the Sox, they were home for the final series of the season against the Twinkies. They win Game 1 7-3. Rodon gets a win at 9-10. Duffy gets a loss at 8-12. Twins win Game 2 6-0. Santiago with the win at 13-10. Shields goes to 6-19 to close out his White Sox season. And then Twins 6, Sox 3 yesterday. Barrios, I don't know if I'm saying that right, 3-7. Sale 17-10 in the loss. And Kinsler gets his 17th save of the season. And of course, the big news coming out of the Sox today, Robin Ventura does not accept an extension. The Sox said they'd like him back. I think he needs new scenery. And now that shifts us to the new manager, which you kind of figured that was the start of it going into the regular season, or going into this season, because Rick Renteria was named the bench coach, and you got to think, okay, he's going to get molded to be the next guy. And he speaks Spanish. I think he did a tremendous job with the Cubs. Got screwed over, really, because Joe Mann was coming in there, like, okay, you're done. Which I'm not saying definitely wasn't a bad move at all, but it was just a raw deal for Renteria. He goes to the South Side, and he gets to handle his thing, and I think he's going to do great with them Latin players. There's still some work to do, but I still think it's going to be good for them, and we'll see if they decide to rebuild or do they keep Sale and Quintana. So a lot of questions to be answered, and we'll see if them questions get answered. We have a lot of other questions that need to be answered as well. We'll talk to the 2-time Emmy Award winner, Mr. Television. I gotta wake him up from his nap. So while I do that, time for the Windy City Sports Minute. This is your Windy City Sports Minute for Monday, October the 3rd. The Cubs win their final series of the regular season in Cincinnati with a comeback win in the 9th inning yesterday of a final of 7-4. Sox lose 2 of 3 by losing the finale to the Twinkies yesterday, 6-3. On that note, on the South Side, Robin Ventura is out as White Sox manager as he says he's leaving, and Rick Renteria, former Cubs manager, and at the helm now for the Sox. MLB playoffs begin tomorrow with the wild card game for the American League, as it's going to be the Orioles against the Toronto Blue Jays, and then on Wednesday, the winner of the San Francisco Giants at New York Mets will face the Cubs Friday. Game times have been announced. Game 1 on Friday will be at 8 p.m. And Game 2 on Saturday will be at 7 p.m. That is your Windy City Sports Minute. Now back to Windy City Sports Talk.
We're going to the sink. I'm doing my laundry.
Well, we're on.
Just throw this shit in the dryer. You give me a proper introduction.
Okay. Do I have to do the whole thing I do with you with commentary?
I don't know. What do you do? Do what you feel like doing. But I think it should be. I think it should be somewhat in character. It could be fun.
Okay, we're back, and I'm now joined on the phone with Mr. Laundryman, the two-time Emmy Award winner, Mr. Television, Scott Beatty. Scott, well, do you follow me everywhere?
Who is this?
You know exactly who this is.
Oh, is this Windy Talking Sports?
Yes, that's exactly what this is.
Yeah, I listen to you. I listen to you guys every Friday.
Do you really?
What day are you on?
We're on every day.
Oh, say it again?
We're on every day.
Oh. Yeah, Fridays. Sounds good.
Okay, let's get into talking some playoff baseball. The question that everyone wants to know that's circulating around today is, are you upset about Kim Kardashian?
What happened to Kim Kardashian?
She got robbed.
Did she really?
Yeah, they stole $10 million of her jewelry, and she got tied up in the bathroom.
Wait a minute. Who has $10 million of their jewelry on them?
Kim Kardashian.
Apparently so. Oh my God. No, obviously it didn't upset because I just laughed.
Yeah. Anyway, that was just a joke question.
I think it was maybe it was this was a sport. Maybe it was Reggie Bush.
Oh, Reggie Bush. Poor guy. Is he still in football or no?
No, he's not. Which is why it's a good, unless he's got an alibi.
True. And what don't make sense is this happened during a Kanye West concert in London. So why the heck why wasn't she with him?
I don't know where it happened. Why are we talking about Kim Kardashian? She's everything that is wrong with the world.
I know.
Let's talk about what's right with the world. Let's talk about the Cubs.
There we go. Cubs playoffs, Friday and Saturday from Wrigley Field. First question I got to ask you is, overall, who do you think will win the wild card game coming up on Wednesday?
Oh, boy. It's kind of a good scenario for Cub fans in the fact that both the Mets and the Giants have got to throw their aces out there.
Exactly.
And they've got to treat this like it's already Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, fortunately, moving forward, the Cubs aren't going to have to face Syndergaard or
Bumgarner.
What's his name? Bumgarner, until like Game 3, possibly Game 4 of any playoff series they might have, and that's a good thing going forward. But who do I want to see win? I guess going against my Chicago roots, I guess I'm going to have to go for the New York Mets simply because I think that their pitching staff is thinner. I think even the things that are good about their pitching staff might be overrated. I don't really have a strong feeling about Familia in the back of the bullpen for them. I'd rather face the Mets overall because on paper I believe they've got the weaker of the two teams.
Exactly, and also, don't you think the Cubs want to get a little bit of revenge, even though it's not the same rotation as last year, but don't you think the Cubs want to get some revenge?
I don't even want the revenge factor to be a factor.
No.
This is a team you've got to get through to get to the next round. I mean, there's going to be the people who are nervous because it's the Mets again. Oh, what happens if the Mets beat us again? Oh, if the Mets beat the Cubs again, then the Mets beat the Cubs again. But let's not make that the story. Let's make the story the Cubs moving towards the World Series.
Exactly. So you think, which my next question was, who is the better fit to face the Cubs? It obviously is the New York Mets, because if you look at that rotation for the Giants, even though Bumgarner's going to go in the wild card game, you still got to face Cueto, which I'm not even sure if he's healthy, and then you got Samardzija and Matt Moore. So, and I think after
Cueto's been
After Syndergaard, you got what? Bartolo Colon and a bunch of rookies that have never been here. So
yeah, Stephen Matz is out.
Yep. Harvey.
Jacob deGrom is out. Matt Harvey. So the Mets are in a position where they've got to pat themselves on the back for getting as far as they did. But kind of like no shame in losing this one if it happens. Kind of like the same way the Cubs got to got a championship run last year. It's like, no shame, you got farther than anybody thought you would. I mean, I hope that winds up being the case with the Mets. With the Giants, yeah, the pitching doesn't stop at the top.
No.
You could have, you've got Cueto, who's the number 2 in San Francisco, but he's an ace on 28 other teams in the majors.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Jeff Samardzija, who might have a bug up his ass to get back at the Cubs.
That's what I'm worried about.
And then you've got Matt Moore, who he pitched very well yesterday.
Yes.
To get to there.
Do you keep going? What's up?
No.
Okay.
Proceed, hosty point.
Are you happy to see the Cardinals not make it, or do you think that would have even better fit to face the Cubs?
I think the Cubs have faced the Cardinals enough times that they would know what they were bringing to the table. The Cardinals, even though they had a reasonably tight record with the Cubs, it was like 10-8 or 11-8 or something like that.
Yeah. So I'm.
Do you have that information at your fingertips?
No, I don't. But I know that they played very well against them. But they kind of dug their own grave at the end of the year. I mean, they dug their own grave at the end of the year. I mean, they had a chance. They lost a crucial game to Cincinnati, I think a couple, and they couldn't win at home all year. So it's their own fault they didn't get in.
It really is, but that's the wonderful thing about baseball. Look at the Cubs lost a couple of games to Cincinnati down the stretch as well.
Yes.
You're just glad they didn't matter in the matter of the standings. The Cardinals, they finished one game out. I mean, that's hard to say. That could have been a game they could have picked up in May.
Exactly.
Somehow. But, everybody gets there for a reason. The Cardinals is not their year. They'll be back. They've got a great organization. But would I like to see the Cubs play the Cardinals? I would say out of the 3 teams, I think so, because they knew what the Cardinals bring to the table. They know how to combat the Cardinals. And therefore, I think they would have got past.
The only thing I worried about was them. If the Cubs would have faced the Cardinals this year, it would have been the complete opposite roles. Last year, the Cardinals won over 100 games, won the Central, had home field advantage. Cardinals would have been the wild card, had to win the wild card, be the underrated team. Do you ever? I had a bad feeling that this Cardinals would have upset the Cubs in the DS if they would have met up.
Well, all right. Well, see, there is that collection of Cub nervous Nellies like yourself.
Yes, I'm 100%.
Who are looking for any reason that the Cubs should lose because it's superstition, which is ridiculous. These Cub players have nothing to do with the last Cub team that didn't make it. Mm-mm. This is just a completely different set of guys. They have a different mindset. If Cubs are going to lose, they're going to lose, and it's not because of the Cardinals or a goat or a black cat or anything else.
No, I hope not. Okay, now I'm going to ask you right now on the spot, what is your World Series matchup?
I thought about it the other day, and I really do think the Cubs are best equipped to go to the World Series this year, and I don't believe I'm saying it. I've been a Cubs fan my whole life. I've watched them, the ups and the downs. I've watched them go to the playoffs several times to no avail. But every time you think, this is the team, I really think 2016 is the best rounded team they've ever had in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. And they do have all the right. They've got the right attitude, the right manager. They're clicking at the right time. I am picking the Cubs to go forward. I just don't think the other teams are just not quite there for me. Although, the Nationals are an awful good team, mm-hmm. But I'm going to pick the Cubs. And I was asked this about a week and a half ago by a colleague, and I actually picked the Texas Rangers.
I think I think that's good.
Everybody wants to pick Boston.
That's my pick. That's one of my picks.
Cubs had the best record in the National League. Red Sox had the best record in the American League. Texas, especially at home, are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So while everybody else has their picks, the Red Sox, I'm going to go against the Rangers and take the Rangers.
I think that I was just saying it earlier. I think even though I'm on the fence about Cubs Red Sox, because that would be, from a viewership, that would be tremendous. It'd be Poppy's last season against the Cubs, obviously the 108-year drought. But the Rangers continue to get there and never can win it. So if you can put them against a team that hasn't won it in over 100 years, I think that'd be fun to watch also. And Texas has a very good pitching staff also, so You don't think? Go ahead.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
If the Cubs somehow cannot make the World Series,
Yes.
what American League team, because I assume, I don't know if they're like me, I automatically cheer for the American League team in the World Series. I don't know why that is, but I do.
Yeah, I did.
Who would you like to see win it this year?
If the Cubs aren't in it,
If the Cubs are not in it.
I guess it would be Boston.
Okay, why? They won three. They won three in the last 10
that's true.
years.
I guess that's true. And
Or 12 years, whatever it's been.
one thing I do want to,
the correct answer is the Cleveland Indians.
that was going to be my pick, but Cleveland as a town already won a championship with LeBron. It's time to move on. They got their title.
Oh, they won behind a mercenary is what they won by. The Indians have not won the World Series since 1948.
Yeah.
They haven't been there since, let's see, what were they there, 97? Yeah, 97.
It's the
20
Marlins.
years since they've been, that's the team that should have won one.
Yeah, they walked off in the worst way. Was that Game 7 they got walked off on?
Yeah, yes. Jose Mesa gave up the base hit to, I believe, Edgar Renteria.
Yeah, that was, and then Craig Counsell scored. So that's, I think that's, yeah, I mean, Cleveland would be fun. One thing I do want to see, though, is I want to see Toronto win the one-game wild-card game tomorrow. I want to see Texas and Toronto face each other again, because between the bat flip last year and Batista getting punched in the face this year, you're going to get some entertainment.
And then have Batista and Rougned Odor square off during the seventh inning stretch.
Exactly. We got
the sound system can play something like Kung Fu Fighting.
we got a couple of minutes left.
The theme from Rocky is Odor comes to the plate.
There you go. We got about 2.5 minutes left. But here's the question I want to ask you. Not related
That's
to
not nearly enough time for me, but go ahead.
I know, because it takes you about 5
I'm the
minutes.
most important guest you've ever had on this show.
You're my only guest I've ever had on this show.
Like I said.
Okay, here we go. What record will be broken first? The home run record, the games played record, or the hitting streak?
Okay, you're talking about 21, whatever Ripken played, 21-31?
Yeah.
Okay, that's, or the home run record, you're talking about season or lifetime?
Lifetime.
Lifetime, that's 763.
Yep.
Or what was third choice?
Hitting streak, Joe DiMaggio.
Well, the hitting streak, you got to be consistent every single day.
But for games played, you got to be healthy.
I believe that record will be broken before Ripken's record.
Yeah, because nowadays
the way rosters are used today.
Yeah.
But I do believe that the home run record could fall. Could fall someday.
I mean, you think about it. I mean, right now, what was the highest this year? 41, 42?
Didn't Jed Jerko hit 30?
Yeah, I mean...
If Jed Jerko can hit 30, I could hit like 24.
Yeah, that's... So you say the home run record first?
I would say the home run record first because, you could have a guy like Chris Bryant comes up at 22 years old, starts banging out 40 home runs a year.
I think especially in Wrigley in the summer...
It's going to be an incredibly tough road for anybody to get there. I mean, you look at the guys who've come closest over the last years. Even Pujols still has 5 years left on his contract.
Oh, my God. I remember when I wanted the Cubs to sign him. Boy, what a raw deal for Anaheim.
Yeah, but he still drove in 110 runs this year.
And he don't even get, like, Anaheim, I didn't even realize they were still a team. I mean, even though they have Mike Trout, they were terrible this year. And
they were awful.
And it's just crazy. Okay, Scott, that's going to do it. Thank you very much for joining me. And are we making this an every week thing with you, or what?
Well, once you see the ratings spike, you'll know what you have to do.
Okay, we'll say that. Okay, folks, thanks for listening. That's Windy City Sports Talk. We'll be back tomorrow. Scott, hang on. I got to talk to you for a minute. And thanks for listening. Have a great day, Chicago.